Yes, I think now it should be live. At least OBS says so.
Yep.
Can you see that anywhere?
We are live. Yeah, incredible.
Awesome. The magic
Very
worked
cool.
out.
It's going. All right. So let's just get this show on the road. Cool.
Alrighty.
Hi, everybody. My name is Andrew. I'm a community manager at Portainer. And this is our first live stream community event. So thank you so much for tuning in. And we're going to get this started. I'm joined today by Francesco, who is one of our favorite Portainer advocates. Thank you so much for joining. He can share a little bit of himself in a minute. And Dimko, our Portainer developer relations manager. Do you guys want to just give yourself a quick introduction and then we'll start get going.
Francesco, your turn.
Okay, thank you. Usually I'm a host in an event, so for me it's always a bit strange to be a guest. By the way, I'm Francesco. I'm from Rome. Thank you for this great introduction. By the way, I don't have a great pitch for my bio. Maybe I should work on that. So yes, I've been a full stack developer for some years for the European Space Agency. Then when COVID happened, I went a bit wild with all the social media basically. So you can follow me basically on many different platforms, but I'm not gonna shameless plug myself here. I just want to say maybe just this, that I've been using Portainer way before joining them, especially in some European Space Agency demo. And I really liked that. This is an honest feedback. And so when they contacted me, I was super happy to help them to talk you about this very useful tool, which really can help you to visualize stuff, containers, of course, not stuff. Yes, that's me. Let's give some space to Dimko.
Perfect intro.
Okay.
I'll also start with saying where I'm from. I'm from Ukraine, and I've been doing software engineering for quite some time already, maybe for the last decade, since I was a high school kid. And that was a great and awesome career. I've been mostly focusing on building distributed systems. So in the last 4 years, I believe that solely means that Kubernetes all the way up. And I've been building these kind of distributed teams, working on distributed systems. So I really like the distributed kind of keyword now. And I'm doing now the developer advocacy for Portainer, which means I'm really into working with the communities and creating the content in a way that it's engaging and it's fun. And this is exactly what we're going to do today, I believe. So happy to see you all in the chat. Let me know, you guys, whether everything is okay, whether the sound is good. Hopefully that everything is all right.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah, so today we're going to talk about a couple different things. First, we will talk about the new release, Portainer CE 2.11, go over some of the features in there. And then we'll be taking questions from you, the audience. I recommend that you ask your questions via Twitter by mentioning Portainer so that we can track you. And at the end of the stream, we'll give out some swag and to our favorite questions. So just keep them coming. Ask anything you want in the chat and all of that. But it might be easiest if you do tag us on Twitter so that we can track that.
Nice. And also checking the YouTube, of course, YouTube one. So if you also just make a comment, and we'll try to check all the platforms. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think we gotta also let Tom into the chat. He is working with us on the video production. Hello, Tom.
Hey, Tom.
You're live.
Welcome.
He's happy.
Hey, Tom.
Seems to be happy.
Hi there. Hi. How's it?
You're in the hot spot now, dude.
Yes, all good here. So let me just go on and share my screen. And I have a bit of the agenda embedded into the presentation that I've prepared. So let me just do this. Can you see it now?
We
Let me know
can.
Can you?
And I'll make sure it looks good in the chat. Yeah, it looks great.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. So as you mentioned, Andrew, just feel free to mention us on any of the platforms. I'd be happy to chat, and Andrew will be happy to chat. And for the best of the mentions, questions, we'll send out some awesome swag that we have. Unfortunately, I don't have it on me today, but I wish I would. So I think that is the main channel for you to ask questions, either on Twitter or on YouTube or whatever you're viewing that at. Facebook, LinkedIn, I think we're live pretty much everywhere now. So with the today's community event, what we have as the main topic is Portainer 2.11. And we have not too many of the things in terms of the release, but we're gonna dig through them, and we're gonna dig through some of the things that happened to the industry, unfortunately, which are concerning every player in the industry, including us. To name one, it's the security issues happening with Log4j, and all of the hustle that started across the security concerns in all of the organizations. So let's get it rolling. Happy also if you have any questions on the features that I'm gonna show here in the presentation. Happy if you ask the questions on them. So first one is, I'd say it's a big one. We have the support for AWS container registry. So before that, we did the Azure container registry, obviously the Docker Hub, any of the custom registries, GitLab, and literally anything that you might want. And some of the people asked for that explicitly for a AWS container registry. So we just went on and implemented that. So let me know if you are a user of AWS and their container registry, because I think that is really widely spread, I think. The next bit is also interesting, since that is the one which embraces the automation, and that's why I really love it. So mainly API tokens are same thing as a personal access token into any of the applications that you have, Azure DevOps, GitHub, etc. This should be used for automating some routing actions onto applications as Portainer. So imagine you're having the Portainer as a gateway to all of your Kubernetes clusters, environments, edge devices, etc. And you are able to create API access token to the Portainer instance, which Portainer will understand and will let you execute actions on top of your environments via API. So this is exactly what it is. And what is so important about this feature is that in the next Community Edition release, we're planning to disable multi-source logins. And what are these multi-source logins? Is basically you have one username and you're trying to log in with that username from different places, like from your computer, at the same time from your mobile, at the same time from the applications that you are creating, etc. So we're going to disable that and provide a better way of doing that, because mainly this should be only used for automation, and the right way for doing the automation is API tokens, and this is what everyone is seem to be doing at the moment with GitHub, GitLab, Slack, whatever. So happy that we have here. I have some of the use cases that we might want to discuss regarding that. Let me know. Let me quickly go into our GitHubs, because there were some people who were actively using that feature, and they were providing some feedback on that. So this is why I'm always a big fan of going into GitHub and really seeing what people are doing instead of just doing the interviews or whatever, because I think the GitHub is number one source for that really engineering kind of opinions on what we've created. So what this username is trying to do is to connect Portainer and his GitLab actions. So what is happening is that he's triggering the webhook, and that webhook he expects that will be triggering the deployment in Portainer. And to trigger that webhook, he uses the personal access token or API token. So which is one use case and completely a valid one. Here, what we're trying to achieve is to update the stack deployment once anything happens in the application. So if application sends the API call to the Portainer with a particular request, hey, update this stack, this should be updated. And this is actually nice. If you think about that, it enables you to manipulate all of the, persistent data volumes, anything that you have in your Kubernetes, etc., just by your fancy application that you're creating. And this is very powerful in that kind of sense. And here I think what user was trying to achieve is to enable Portainer to authenticate to Azure Container Registry using the API request, which is also nice. And this is something that they run in the pipeline, and this is already something that people are able to achieve because this already works. So that's quite nice, I bet.
Any questions from the audience on API tokens or just ideas on use cases that you would use for that? Just feel free to throw them out. Keep going, Dimko, but we'll try to loop back to that if anyone has anything on that.
Alrighty, thanks, sir. The next one is importing with the tag. So I'll put a fancy GIF into that to show how that works. So basically you have you are able to upload an image into Portainer. And before that, we were not able to tag that image with some fancy custom name. But right now we are able to do so, which enables us kind of to retag the image and upload that either to Docker Hub or anything like that. So which is quite nice improvement if you are anyhow automating and building images on your own and you're not able to use all of the capabilities of the Docker, etc. For instance, if you're using Containerd directly or CRI. Another bit which is interesting is what we've added in 2.9 was the ability to download the Kube Config. And Kube Config basically is the bunch of YAML symbols which are standing for you are able to access a particular cluster on the Kubernetes. So in 2.9, we've added just being able to download them one by one. And we've figured out that people were not really, some of the particular use cases were not satisfied by that implementation, meaning that imagining you have been 150 clusters and you want to download the Kube config for all of them because you want to administer them anyhow from your other machine outside of Portainer, or to download that Kube Config into other tool which has any of the capabilities which Portainer does not provide, etc. So we've added that UX enhancement, so which is essentially you are able to pick all of the environments here and download the big gigantic whole Kube Config, which includes all of the environments, and you're able to put that into any of the other tools. And also a bit of improvement here.
Did Francesco, were you raising your hand? Did you want to?
I raised your hand because we had a question from YouTube, but I didn't want to interrupt Dimko. And the question was about the use cases. If they are asking, Jack Conlon is asking if the use cases are in the GitHub issue.
So
GitHub issues, I think.
Not every time it's going very smooth. So if we go back to the GitHub issues, so like this one, they want to have open. It's always a work in progress, right? So you are trying to get something to work, and sometimes it's not as smooth as you would expect, right? And that's why people are raising GitHub issues here, saying, hey, I'm not able to get this to work. Can you help me out? And we're like digging out through the issue, which I think helped us perfectly. And he's really professional in that, digging through the issue and figuring out, all right, how we can do that, how we can achieve your particular use case. And hey, this is the bit that you're missing, like this, these requests that you want to do. And in the end, people are saying, hey, thank you, and this worked out, and this is perfect, this works for me. So sometimes for me, the best place to find really interesting use cases always is GitHub issues, because when people are having issues, so that's exactly per API tokens.
The question, it was for the API, of course, yes.
Yes. So I think when people are having problems, that's quite nice, because they are trying to achieve something with the product, and if they are contributing with their issues and their questions, that's the best compliment for us as a product, because they care much enough that they are able to dedicate some of their time to write that description, to communicate with us, and so on and so forth. So really thanking all of the people which are doing the GitHub issues.
Excellent. Yeah, and that's a really good point too, that you can look in the issues and see if someone else is having the same problem that you're having, and you can add on to those too. If there's multiple users, that's always really helpful for our team to triage those types of things.
Yeah. So let's go back into the chat, actually. Yes, some of the use cases we are able to find in GitHub issues, and for the rest you're able to come up yourself, but definitely we'll be adding some awesome content on top of the API tokens. I think Adolfo, who is unfortunately not with us today because of the third vaccine jab, we'll be together with him, we'll be adding some of the use cases on our YouTube. So feel free to follow us on YouTube, to subscribe, and there you'll be able to see all of that happening. Can you speak about the update API for Helm charts so that we can edit Helm deployment? I'm not sure what do we mean by updating the API for Helm charts, because as I recall, Helm charts are stale. So once they are committed to any of the Helm repos, you cannot edit them. Let me know if that is not the case. Alrighty, let's move on. So the other issue that was in this feature is that we've released in 2.9 is that due to the nature how Portainer worked, it kept on invalidating these kube configs. each time you restart a Portainer instance, which in some use cases doesn't happen too often, but in some of the use cases, it's like a daily routine to restart all of the containers because the power goes down or anything like that. So we've fixed that, and now you're able to successfully and safely restart the Portainer, and it will still keep the same kube configs, and they will still be valid against Portainer. Before we move on to the security stuff, will Portainer have a webhook for containers that are not in a swarm? I'm having trouble understanding this question, so if you can rephrase that, that would be just great, and I'd be happy to answer that. Okay. Meanwhile, the big thing that happened in the industry lately is that exact issue ID that you see on the screen, and this is referring to the log4j issue that happened, I think, a few weeks ago, which affected multiple of software vendors in the industry. So let me quickly recap what actually happened. There was an issue in a very rare or in a very old version of log4j framework, and log4j is the framework for doing the logging on top of Java. And the main issue is that framework is the mainstream one, so everyone was actually using that, and the people who didn't update from that version are really vulnerable, and most of the big enterprises in some particular time were using Java as their main framework, and they were affected and by that vulnerability. And as that software supply chain goes on, the more and more people are kind of affected by that issue. And if you're running anything like a web server with PHP and WordPress, etc., still there is a chance that some of the tools that you are using within that setup are vulnerable to that log4j issue, and this is the big deal, right? So if talking about Portainer, we are 100% in Go, and we are not affected by that issue. We are not using any Java in our tech stack. So, and also you are able to have a look at that blog from our CEO, Neil, who confirmed that nothing in Portainer is actually affected by that issue. So Portainer is 100% safe. Andrew, if you have the link to that blog, just feel free to put that into any of the chats, right?
Yeah, I can grab that. Are you guys seeing any? I mean, what's the impact on the industry for this type of event? Is anything going to change, do you think, or what's going on?
I think that's a big one, because even the biggest players in the industry, they make mistakes, and I often see that with the open source software, by the way, that issues are spotted in open source software, and there are huge companies using that open source software for nothing, and they are complaining about the security of that bit. So I think that the industry should be taking more of the attention to the security issues, and I think we should be seeing more of the tools being able to scan the images, the software, any of the artifacts that software produces against the vulnerabilities, and that both scanning the code or scanning the Docker layers, as we have a lot of these scanners at the moment already. I think that should be we gotta put more emphasis on this security. What's your take on that?
Francesco, do you have any thoughts on that? I'm just a little community manager.
I had this event has not touched me a lot because not working with something Java related. Just helped my old boss and other people who had this problem to solve this for them. What it's really, they say that this has been like one of the biggest vulnerabilities in the last 10 years, which like for development is like another era. So it's like 10 years ago, maybe we had some very bad smartphones, I think, 10 years ago. So I think that this is really exposes how much it's important to update your stuff, because I've worked in a company where updating something is always a stress. Like, oh, but why should we update that? Can't we just use the old ones? We will be fine. We don't need new features. But there are also other features which are not just related to, and maybe the log is the biggest example. Like I say, I just want the log. I don't want other new features, but there are other hidden features that maybe can really, because now everybody is in a hurry. we are on fire, basically. So when you are on fire, basically you're maybe also, let's say that from a money point of view, maybe there are companies now prepared maybe to pay for, I don't know how much, but maybe thousands of dollars just to solve something. Maybe could that be fixed, I don't know, in a very way more easy way. So this exposes how can be fragile this world. So it's interesting, and I can't remember something like that, because the problem is that this library is literally used by everyone here in the Java world. They've also used that everybody. There are some memes like maybe if you use just a system out println, now we are safe. It's a meme, but maybe something true. So the problem is this, that there's been a package used by dependency from a lot of people. So this is the problem, and yeah. So it's very important to work about security with experts, and we know experts are expensive, but maybe this can be way worse. For example, if this is not, I think we can say, luckily this is not a problem for Portainer because you don't have Java in your tech stack. But maybe if you had Java, maybe we could have had some problem, but we'll never know. But so this is something that just let us think about that the software had to be maintained, had to be secured. You need to hire someone, pay for a consultant somewhere sometimes. Yeah. I'm not a super security expert, but I know if I would have ever had something in production, I would pay for a consultant to just sleep well, we can say.
Yeah, I mean, it shows that you have to know what your tech stack is built out of, right? Like if, just because you're using open source technology doesn't mean that you can forget about that or ignore it. Or if you've got a huge IT team, then you have to have some way of tracking those types of things.
I'm a fan of open source. It has a lot of good things, but this doesn't mean that everything is safe 100% of the time. Of course, this doesn't mean that we should delete the open source. Of course, just let's be clear. First of all, because it's impossible, and also just because we just have to follow the best practices, and maybe I would say hire someone, pay someone to before this happened. Now it's late. We can just talk. We are like, I feel like, have you ever seen this like TV shows when they talk about the disaster? Could we do something about that? But now it's too late. We are talking about this, but it's too late. So yes.
My take on that is that in some of the use cases, in some of the software applications, it is completely acceptable to have these security issues or leaks or whatever. So if you're developing a platform which is going to
in some of the use.
Oops.
That was me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, no worries. If you're developing a platform which is going to score memes on their popularity or anything like that, then you shouldn't be investing too much into the security, I bet, because you might want to focus on the other areas, and the risk of security being abused is not too high. But if you are working in the aviation or in the government or anything in the healthcare, anything that works with the personal data or people's lives depend on that, then it's a big deal. And I think that if you are a software vendor, that is also a big deal, because as a software vendor, you're providing a software like Azure or AWS or whatever else. You're providing the software as a service or platform as a service to anyone else who might use that in the aviation, healthcare, whatever. And this is what makes software as a service hugely impacted by these kind of security issues, I believe. So I think I'm completely on the same page that security is the big topic, and it has to be revisited by the consultant, has to be audited, and this is why all of the regulations for the security exist. Actually, in some of the markets, you are not able to allow your healthcare software without facing HIPAA or any of the regulations like that, which include the security audit. And that's why I think that's really good in a positive way. That's the place where regulations are actually doing the good for us. Alrighty, let me just get back to the comment section.
Yes.
At the moment, there is a feature in Portainer to call a service container update, but this is only in swarm mode. Will it come to standalone Docker containers? So, if I recall correctly, I've been debugging that, and I think my conclusion was that Docker just doesn't enable Docker standalone doesn't enable you to do that, to do update on the fly without restarting. But I'll have to double check that. Let me just get back to you on that note, or feel free to reach me out on dimco@portainer.io. I'll put the email in the chat. And I can double check that for you.
Awesome. And reminder, guys, try to mention us on Twitter, because that's how we'll do our back and forth to send you your swag. So these are great questions. Just mention us, and we'll get back to you about that. At the end of the stream, we're going to pick our favorite questions for swag. So please, keep them coming.
Alrighty, awesome. What do we have in terms of security in Portainer? This is actually a topic that I did maybe last week, Wednesday, with Adolfo, our tech evangelist and product marketing manager. This is a real big deal because we started to go through that, and we figured out there are too many of the things in Portainer which one way or another affect the security of the whole application, or the connection to the application, or the operations, interaction with external users, etc., etc. So let me quickly go over what we have in place, some of the buzzwords, so you can more or less understand what we have at the moment and how we think about that. So first one is we are now enforcing HTTPS. So you gotta use the SSL certificate to connect to talk to the Portainer instance. And at the moment, HTTP port is considered to be deprecated and shouldn't be used. instead you got to use HTTPS. And this actually affects how your packages are transferred to the Portainer instance back and forth. If you're using HTTPS, it has high chances that your data will not be stolen, and anyone else will not try to pretend to be you when talking to the Portainer instance, while plain HTTP has these risks. Other than that, we have role-based access policies, which enables you to assign, all right, John Doe can operate this namespace, and this is exactly one namespace that he can do. On the other hand, there are Jane Doe, which can administer the whole cluster, and she can delete, she can add new users, add new teams, etc., etc. So we have all of that in play, and that is done solely to secure the particular environment that you have in your Portainer cluster. This also incorporates adding the quotas on top of namespace, so particular users are not able to go over some quota in the namespace that they are using, for instance, in Kubernetes, etc. So which is quite handy, and I've seen really a lot of feedback of people using that and being happy about that. Other than that, we have the support for authentication providers. So we support OAuth, and this includes Azure Active Directory. This supports normal Windows Active Directory, anything basically, might be Okta, anything that supports OAuth protocol. And this enables you to have your whole user base of your organization stored within that OAuth provider, and just connect that easily to Portainer, and all of these users will get imported into Portainer, and each time you do any of the tweaks on your OAuth provider, it will get propagated to the Portainer. So basically we'll use your OAuth provider as authentication source for Portainer, which is nice, because most of the corporate organizations, they have that kind of need, and they already have their own authentication provider. And nevertheless, you are able to create your own users in Portainer, which is an ad hoc approach which works. And this is 100% easy. Also, we have the authentication logs, meaning that you're able to see who logged as an admin of the workspace. You're able to see who have logged in and what time and what was the IP, and you're able to spot any suspicious activity going on. What we also suggest doing is putting the Portainer behind VPN. So if you're exposing that to the public internet, then better use VPN. And we have an awesome video on our YouTube channel explaining how to set up Portainer with WireGuard, which is VPN that you might use along with Portainer. And our CEO made an awesome article on that, whether should you expose Portainer or agent of Portainer to the internet. Go check it out. Hopefully the link will appear now in the chat, I think. And this article actually goes over a very interesting tool, which is able to scan the whole internet and crawl that and see how many of the Portainer instances are exposed now to the internet. So really go and check it out, this article, because these numbers are insane, and double check if your Portainer instance is exposed publicly to the internet, because that is considered a security vulnerability. Also, what we do in terms of
coming off of that, we have a question on. I'm sorry to jump in there. We have a question on Twitter that is asking, what is our favorite part about working with cryptocurrency? And I think that that's a good related item to this vulnerability, not vulnerability, this mistake that people make.
Yeah, indeed. So what we've noticed before, we had one of our Portainer instances for the testing and for the demos running in the cloud, and that was exposed to the internet publicly. And what we've seen is that in some time, I've started seeing a lot of crawlers going through the Portainer instance and trying to pick the password. I've been seeing that, and I've decided to keep with that experiment and see what happens next. And once they've been able to pick the password automatically, they started spinning like dozens of crypto mining containers, which was hacking fun to watch, because disable that like immediately, right? I shut that cluster off. But this is the real risk that you might run into. And if people spawn hundreds of crypto mining containers on your cluster, then you will be probably owing the cloud some thousands of dollars overnight. So double check if you don't have this vulnerability, because that's huge.
You don't want to be giving out those crypto miners rent-free space on your system, right?
Yeah, indeed. And either on your system,
unless you don't want to expose this amazing show live on YouTube. In that case, you can get the back with some ads, the money. The people say, okay, so let's see what's going on. Let's see what happens. Honestly, it would have been pretty interesting. But
that is the content idea that we have.
Francesco, do you have any ideas around crypto too that you're interested in exploring here?
No, okay. So I'm not a cryptocurrency expert. I like to step into the Web3 world, but just starting for now and get prepared for something. So, and of course, as everything, don't do what people say. Like buy this, I've bought this, sometimes I post this. So this is the number one rule: to don't trust anybody. So this is the first thing. What I can say, maybe related to cryptocurrency, if you want to deploy, for example, your own cryptocurrency, we should have a Portainer cryptocurrency, of course. Is that really Portainer can help some developers to try to deploy something, maybe using some parallel features. So there is the new 5 nodes feature. So I think it's really help the developers to deploy their own cryptocurrency. This is a use case that I think it's meaningful in this live on this channel to talk about. Not much more about that, but it's interesting because it's a tool that can help you to get started, because there's a lot of stuff to learn. You need to learn, for example, how to deploy your own smart contracts, how to deploy your tokens, define your wallet. This, I think we did a separate live stream to this. Maybe you also need to give me at least a couple of weeks during the holidays. I'll know something more about that. We can create something in some interesting event. So yes, for now this is what I can say. But if you are interested into that, we can try to let's deploy a Portainer cryptocurrency in a live stream. What do you think about this? But you need to give me some time. Then we'll do it.
We'll talk about it.
I can help you out on that.
Cool. Yeah,
because I've been doing that. I think a couple of years ago, and this is one of the demos I did with the smart contracts and Ethereum in the local network on the private blockchain, which is extremely fun and interesting to see how all of that works, and how not only the Bitcoin works, but all of the other cryptocurrencies work under the hood technically. And if you start to think about that from not only the technical point of view, but also the economic, all of these applications which enable you to trade, which enable you to drop some of the crypto to your friends, etc., etc. That really discloses really a lot of social aspects of these digital assets. So I think that has really a lot of potential.
Yeah, I have this crazy idea that maybe like the more you use Portainer, the more you'll get this kind of Portainer coins that you can use.
Perfect,
oh yeah, the Portainer NFT. When is that coming out in the next release?
Yeah, we need someone who is better than me at creating some graphic designs. Probably this is why we haven't that yet.
Yeah, some 8-bit drawings of us that you guys can all buy.
We're
ready, selling ourselves.
We got that. Yeah. Thanks for the idea, Francesco.
My problem is that I have too many ideas. I have time to execute them. The ideas has never been a problem.
More ideas than you have the breath, right?
Raul on Twitter just asked if they need to worry about the log4j vulnerability in terms of Portainer usage. Since we already covered that, I just linked them to the article. And but thank you for asking. It's important. And the answer is no.
Indeed. We are on the safe side. Topaholic asking the question on YouTube. What is Portainer in layman's terms? For the non-tech people who might be interested, what is its purpose? Why it is different from the rest of its kind? In layman's term, please. Andrew, probably you have your native English. What is layman's terms? Just give me a hint.
I've googled that.
Perfect.
Oh, that's a English. What's the word? Logicism. I'm sorry. In layman's terms, Portainer is a service management platform for containers. So we allow you to deploy and manage all of your different containers, whether it's Docker, Docker Swarm, Kubernetes, etc. And it's really easy for people who are new to these things. So you don't need to understand all of the complexity of Kubernetes to get started and spin up your cluster and then to manage it, because it gives you a really nice visual that you can look at very quickly to see how your different clusters are going.
Indeed, agree to that 100%.
Of course, it depends if at least you have some basic of containerization. Otherwise, we can even go on either more clean or worse. But I think Andrew did an amazing job. So you can also talk in many different terms. I think it depends on the layman. I don't know. There are different layman levels.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Francesco, we have a couple more minutes. Do you want to give a really quick explainer on containers?
Yes. So there are many definitions about containers. There are two definitions that I like the most. There is the logical and a technical definition. So from a logical point of view, it's like a single unit of software which works. So this is from a single point of view, from a logical point of view. This is not a new idea. Even a virtual machine is a single unit of software which works, but the container is more lightweight. And another very fast definition is that from a technical point of view, a container is a process. We are talking about when we talk about containers, we make a shortcut because we talk about Linux containers. So we are talking about something which runs in 99.99% of the times. When you hear about containers, we are talking about Linux containers, unless maybe you are on some Microsoft event. There are also something called the Windows containers. But for Linux containers, they just run on Linux machine natively. Someone could raise their hand and say, "Oh but I have Docker on my machine. I have a Mac." That's another stuff, because Docker Desktop is another thing. So a container is a Linux process. This is what is it. So this is from the simplest definition that I tried to dry in ears. So if you want more, I can even talk for hours. I don't know if you want to go dinner or if you want to listen to me.
Thank you. Actually, I like splitting it out into those two different definitions too. That's smart. It's a good way to do it.
Actually, Windows containers are the thing, and in some of the organizations, they are massively used. I did the event with the guy from Fuse, who works on Rancher, and he works particularly on the Windows container support team. And I was really impressed by all of the ideas that how people can utilize Windows containers and why, literally why, first question that I asked. And that's why we call it that session, why Windows containers. So I'll be sharing the link to that as well. And this is in English, hopefully might be useful to you guys understanding why there is a need for Windows containers. Meanwhile, do we have anything else, Andrew?
If you guys want to, last chance to ask your questions, and then we'll at the top of the hour we'll each choose our favorite, and just reach out on Twitter, and I'll handle getting you guys your swag. I just have a couple different things that I want to plug coming up. The first one is tomorrow. Dimko and Adolfo will be giving a really cool presentation on using Portainer for the edge. So if you're interested in edge agents and getting a better understanding of that, definitely after learning about security, I think everyone needs to learn more about how edge agents work. Please join that. It will be at 11 a.m. EST, and you can sign up on the website on our events page. While you're there, please sign up for the community. We have a bunch of different places that you can talk to Portainer and other Portainers, including Discord, Slack, and Reddit. If you sign up for the community, you'll always be in the loop on what's going on. When do we have new events? When do we have new things coming out? So definitely, put your email in there. We don't send many emails at all. It's just once a month. So that's a fun way to stay connected. And then lastly, if you're not using Portainer yet, or you're currently on the CE version, take a look at the 5 nodes free. That will give you all of the features that are in our business edition, and you can have them all for free up to 5 nodes. So that's RBAC, some of these role-based security features. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm. And can you have the links in the chat?
Yeah,
that would be just
awesome.
And maybe I can also send you the link for the YouTube video that I did on Windows containers, because I think that is not allowing me to put that in the chat on YouTube.
Got it. Will do. Francesco, do you have anything coming up that you want to share?
About what? About Portainer?
Or just your own.
No, to be honest, we are organizing an event for Portainer, but this will be after Christmas. So let us eat something, and then we'll come back at you. But we will do, and I'm also preparing something for January with Dimko. So this can also be something, right? We are preparing something which I think you will like. So stay tuned, stay with us, and thank you. By the way, thank you to Dimko, because he made, I think, an amazing job in explaining this. I loved that. I love how you explained this. Also, Andrew, you are a great host. So today I relaxed. So I've been very, very happy, because usually I'm either the host or coding some stuff which doesn't work. Usually I do one of those two activities. But yes, nice.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for helping us out too. This has been fun. Eventually, I'm new to hosting. I've done it in a minute. I'm getting used to seeing the reverse side of my face and the asymmetry in it. So eventually I'll get over that. But yeah, we want to do this, something like this once a month. We're going to be having more community events. So, thank you for joining. Please keep an eye out for what's coming up next. Let's do our swag. Let's choose people. I'm going to go with
sorry, Andrew. There is another question. running microKS enabled storage OpenBS can set up persistent volume and persistent volume claim microKS host path and OpenBS host path, but in Portainer can only enable available storage options for OpenBS Jiva CI default. Why? Wow, that's a really nice question. I think that both should be available to you. Even though I'm not sure on the complete answer on that. So I suggest you have a look at the Discord and Slack, and there just post that there, and we'd be able to dig through that question, or feel free to drop that in the GitHub issues as well, and we'd be able to dig through that. Okay, Andrew, let's shuffle the swag, right? Can I ask the question?
Yeah. So Raul, you get one because you asked it on Twitter. Just send us a DM, and I'll get you set up with that. Guys, who else won?
Let me just quickly go over the YouTube chat.
I have one. If we want, we have a winner.
Who is it?
I'd like to give to Shopaholic the layman question. So what is Portainer in layman's terms? For the non-tech people might be interested, because I think we did an amazing job, but of course we're talking about something which not everybody can understand since the beginning. So I like that I like to give this prize, because he has been maybe the only person had the courage to ask this question. So the difference from the rest of its kind, explained in simple terms. So I liked the honesty and the authenticity of this very honest question. So
it's a great question.
Give him a prize.
Yeah, it's a very grand question for anyone who isn't familiar. Awesome. So Shopaholic, just message us on Twitter, and I'll set you up. Dimko.
I think my one goes to Jack Conlon for the engagement during the session and the last questions on microKS storage. I really love it, and I love when people ask technical ones. So thank you for the questions, and let me know how we can get in touch with you. Can you DM us on Twitter or anything like that, Jack?
Yeah, I'll post it on Twitter. If you don't have Twitter,
maybe can you message him on YouTube?
Just do it on Twitter. Do it. Find a way to be on there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That goes.
Of course. Yeah. Of course, we need a way to contact you. Otherwise, it will be very hard.
It'll be
possible.
Try that out. Cool. Awesome. Well, that was our first community event. Thank you so much for joining. We hope everyone has safe holidays and New Year. Eat some food and relax, and we'll see you next year, as the cliche goes.
Perfect.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. And that was a great pleasure to be here today. Thanks, Andrew, for organizing that. And thanks, Francesco. And thanks for everyone in all of the chats and Twitters for being so engaged. Really love it. And talk to you soon. Francesco, your take.
Perfect. So first of all, thank you, because for me, being a guest, it's something rare, because usually I host events, I have some people, I ask questions, I bore people. So instead, in this case, I tried to at least to reply. Thank you, because I really liked this event. Its simplicity. It has not been that long, so at the same time, people have engaged also in the chat. So I liked everything of this. Even me. So amazing. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew, for hosting this.
Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed.
All right,
thanks, sir. Alrighty.
Take care, everyone.
See you next year.
Bye-bye.